Nigeria continues to grapple with major national challenges, from economic pressures and security concerns to political realignment ahead of the 2027 general elections. As political activities intensify across the country, attention is also turning to Osun State, where preparations for the forthcoming governorship election is gathering momentum.
The election is expected to test the strength of the major political parties, the readiness of electoral institutions, and the confidence of voters in the democratic process. Beyond Oshun, the outcome could also provide important signals about Nigeria's evolving political landscape ahead of the next general elections, which is just 5 months away. Well, joining us as we assess the state of the nation, examine the key issues shaping public discourse, and discuss the political developments in Osun State and what they could mean for the future of Nigeria's democracy, is presidential candidate of the AAC. Mr. Omoyele Sowore joins us via video conferencing. Good morning and thank you for making it here.
Thank you very much. Good morning. It's nice to be with you again.
Good, good. Yesterday you were out and busy. Can you confirm what it was all about?
Well, yesterday was the anniversary of the revolution. Now protests that started in 2019. So we have done it every year since 2019. That was what led to my arrest and trial for treason under the Buhari regime. So yesterday was August 5. In 2024 was the last major outing when there was end bad governance. But we have never missed a year since 2019 not to commemorate that promise we made to the Nigerian people that Nigeria needs a revolution, and it will happen through us or through other means. But we want to be connected with that, and that's why we came out en masse yesterday again to remind Nigerians about that very, very lofty revolutionary movement that started in 2019, yes.
And how would you say that you are closer to having the desired revolution, judging the progress report from 2019 up until 2026?
Well, I want to tell you that when we started in 2019, nobody wanted to hear the word revolution. But as years have gone by, more and more Nigerians in larger numbers have come to that inevitable conclusion that our salvation lies in a revolution. And people talk about it freely now. They organize around it. It's no longer a taboo as to which day, which date, and how, we only know what should happen. We'll keep doing the best we can to make it happen. We can't predict when it will happen. In fact, most revolutions happen when they are least expected.
Now, Mr. Sowore, this year makes it 27 years of uninterrupted democratic experience, and you have thrown your hat in the presidential race. You are contested as a presidential candidate a few times. Looking at the Nigeria of today, how would you say, what's your assessment of democratic credentials and environment? Are we improving, and are we better than where we were in the past?
No, of course, we're not improving. And I think before I came on your show now, you were discussing Osun State elections coming up in a few days. And Nigeria is still back to the era of victimization of opposition parties. So you had 10 days to go in Osun State. The only thing you can do as the federal government is to go freeze the account of the state. Even if you have detected, transactions that are not okay, as has been described by the EFCC, there is no way you can escape there's no way the government can escape the perception that this is persecution and that this is an attempt to interfere with the elections. When Buhari did it in 2022 and 2023, suddenly changed the Nigerian currency and made it scarce and unavailable. Everybody condemned it. So in a democratic situation or a country that wants to improve its democratic credentials, You do not mess with free and fair election, rule of law, the freedom to associate, freedom to move, and transparency. But in our own case, we're just getting, we're just stepping backwards, democratically speaking. And that's why I kept saying that this is not democracy. When you said earlier in your question that it's 27 years of uninterrupted democracy, because I disagree with you. This democracy has been interrupted by corruption, by violence, very shady elections, shady candidates, the lack of rule of law. We are hearing Nigerians saying in 2026 that military rule was better than civilian rule. That is not a country that has made democratic progress at all.
Well, I mean, let's look at a particular case in concern. Let's see if we can break it down. A lot has happened from the last time you came into the studios and we spoke. Let's start off first with the Oshun elections. It's the most, I think, the fresh story at the front burner. What's your take on what's been happening in Osun State?
Well, you have, before yesterday, where the EFCC stepped up to freeze the account of the state, there has been a lot of violence. You've seen police authorities walking into the state, arbitrarily arresting and detaining participants in the election who are not on the side of the ruling party. Very, very despicable conduct on the part of the police and security agencies. And now you have another interruption or intervention, which is the EFCC freezing the account of the state. Okay, now, I want to be on record, I do not support corruption, but I think the optics clearly shows that there's an attempt to muzzle the Osun State government or their candidates so that they will not be able to have enough resources to conduct the elections. Okay, I'm not expecting the state to use state resources, salaries to conduct elections, but clearly we all know what this is all about. And that is why we condemn. That's why we keep saying that Nigeria is not a democracy. If we're to be a democracy, there will be strong enough institutions to checkmate the federal government or whomever thinks he has power to go to Osun State and do what they've been doing. They've killed several people. Why should the election lead to the death of people in the country? Democratic systems don't allow that to happen. The U.S. conducts elections with 350 million people as a population. We rarely hear of election violence. We don't get to hear of one person getting killed throughout the electoral process. I'm not saying they don't have their own peculiar violence, because, of course, Donald Trump was shot by someone in Pennsylvania, which is electoral violence as far as I'm concerned. But it is different when you have one instance or isolated case, or when you have a state that has maybe less than 500 registered voters, and you have already killed over 10 to 20 people preceding an election. It's unacceptable, it's unheard of, and that's not democracy.
Okay, so what would you say now in terms of what's happening in Osun State and what the next step should be for the people of Osun? This morning we did speak about the account being frozen by the EFCC, and there's now a legal argument as to whether the EFCC can freeze the Osun account without a court order. But what would you say the Osun people can do going forward? And what side of the divide are you standing on?
Oh, we have a candidate in Osun State, and we hope that the Osun State people can vote for candidates who have ideas. All that I've spoken about this morning regarding Osun is not an endorsement of Adeleke, who I consider to be one of the very despicable politicians in the country. They're all the same. You can imagine that Adeleke, who is in accord, who endorses Tinubu, and you can almost say that this is even karma catching up with him. But we have a candidate, Olajide Son, in Osun State, who is running under the African Action Congress banner. Now you've seen him perform brilliantly in debates in the state, and the people of the state should use this opportunity. I'm talking about Osun State, to go for a candidate that will solve their problems and stop voting for these failed politicians who are not different anyways. I mean, you can imagine Adeleke even making sure that Akko doesn't have a presidential candidate because Tinubu is his presidential candidate. Very terrible people.
Now, Mr. Sowore, as we inch towards the 2027 elections, security is one issue that is bedeviling Nigeria and will be topped on the minds of Nigerians in selecting who they want to govern them. As we currently speak, the bill to establish state policing has been passed. They are still consulting and awaiting other states to ratify and then presidential assent. What do you make of this state policing? Do you think it will be the silver bullet or panacea to deal with the myriad of security issues we're facing in the country? Because anytime you ask government officials of this administration, what are your plans for security, they always point to state policing. We're working on state policing.
Well, you know, I have a number of positions on state policing. One, the first one is that I support policing at the federal level, states, local government, towns, cities. We should have police everywhere, but that's not the same thing as creating a police state. What the governors want is to have access to the instrument of violence, legitimate violence, which is to have policemen that they can use to do their bidding. Because apparently in some states, they don't get enough cooperation from the commissioners of police. So they will be happy if they have an instrument of violence that is domiciled in the government house, and that's a state police commissioner who sleeps and wake up with the governor, and the governor can say, hey, you know, go kill this person, go arrest this person, go after my opponents, go cause trouble. That is the own idea of state policing. It's not to curb crime, it's to oppress. So an oppressive state police instrument is what the governors are yearning for.
What would you propose as the AAC presidential candidate? What model?
Yes. The model I support is a security architecture that's broken down and that's broken down to all levels. That is to say, we should have a federal police that have oversight over state police, city police, campus police, that we have a central training and regulation system so that if anybody goes rogue, the federal can go in there and take them out, make sure that, but and that we're paid, you have already in some states what you can call state police. Amotekun is in Ondo State, it's in Osun State, it's in your state. But ask yourself, what are they doing? They have become even more terrible than the police, the Nigerian police force that we all love to hate. So our model is that we should have all these policemen, but they will be under institutional control in such a way that they cannot be used to abuse human rights or to carry out criminal activities that the governors would love to have. That is why I'm of the opinion that no matter what we do, we should not endorse state police until after the general elections that are coming up. Because I can imagine that a lot of governors are itching to lay their hands on state police, arm them, and use them to carry out election violence and rigging.
Okay. After the break, we'd like to hear your thoughts on the president and the cardinals. What you make of that all-important meeting. Plus, all is fair in politics. What does it mean? I mean, your own narration. But do stay with us. We'll go on a quick break. When we come back, we'll take a look at more stories. Welcome back. Still Breakfast Central. We're looking at the state of the nation. So many things happening right now in the country, especially in Osun State, plus other aspects of Nigeria's economy. But let's focus on politics, which is one of the major conversations so far. So good. Joining us is the presidential candidate for AAC, Omoyele Sowore, is still here with us. Before the break, I did talk about the meeting, the all talked about meeting between the president and, of course, the bishops, you could rightly say, one that led to one being singled out, especially after granting television interview. Comments did come that it's not fair to speak about what was discussed internally. And then, of course, the big statement that all is fair in politics made by the president. What do you make of the entire story?
You know, I think that sometimes, most times these days, the Nigerian state has figured out how to divert public attention from real socio-political issues. And sometimes we just make a mountain out of a molehill, you know. In the first place, and please excuse me here, I don't know why religious leaders always find time to go and visit presidents, you know. I mean, they should stay in their churches. They should mobilize their own people if they know things are going wrong. They should do what serious religious groups do when you are faced with injustice. You issue a statement, you climb on top of the pulpit and tell your people to take action. You know, I don't understand all these meetings in Aso Rock. Everybody goes to Aso Rock, you know, and I think that's part of.
But you haven't gone to Aso Rock yet. They would ask.
No, I've never been. I don't plan to. But I think that's where the sea finish is coming from. You know, it's like all the time you are begging to meet the president. Because to meet the president, you have to apply. There's no question about it. Or sometimes if the president needs you, because maybe there's pressure in the system, they bring them over. You know, I think people just stay in their monasteries and churches and shrines, you know, and stop visiting the president, because and these visits are where you have some of the problem from. And you visited too many times. If you're tired with the system, mobilize your church members. The Catholic Church has millions of people. You know, on Sunday, you can talk to them. You know, the Muslims have millions of people. On Friday, you can mobilize them. You can tell them what the issues are. That's why the pulpit is higher than, you know, the other part of the church. That's the place you stand and speak truth to power. So every time wearing cassock and going to Aso Rock, this one has come, the churches have, you know, everybody's, you know, I'm tired of seeing religious leaders, traditional rulers going in and out of Aso Rock. And what some of us know about this is that, you know, it also has, you know, a corruptive influence, because some of them go there, before you know it, you know, they collect money from the presidency, and the president's people is able to blackmail them because they ask for money or they give them money. And so there's a whole lot of problem that I have with people using the Aso Rock door as a revolving door. You go in and out every day. If you want to speak to the president, just go to the church or call a press conference. Make your point known. Don't go to him. It is too many meetings and in and out meetings. And you know, they know themselves, as a matter of fact. I want to relay an experience. I want to relate an experience to you. I was sitting next to Tinubu in 2020, I think 2023, before the election, and I was next person to him, and Father Kuka was out there at this presidential election peace committee. Father Kuka was out there speaking, and Tinubu beside me was making fun of Father Kuka. He was just making fun of Father Kuka. I said, Father Kuka is supposed to be like a well-respected Catholic bishop. You know, Tinubu was saying things that I can't even repeat here about Father Kuka. He was just making his like, like, you know, he was speaking in Yoruba, you know, and it was just saying, he was speaking to himself, you know, soliloquizing. So that's why I know that the political class and the religious class, at some political levels, they know themselves. They don't have respect for themselves.
And isn't it? And currently, as we speak, the Bishop Kuka actually has been appointed by the president.
Yeah, they're close. That's what I'm trying to tell you. They're friends. So, yeah. So when you see some of this manufactured outrage, just don't get carried away too much.
Okay.
They're all friends.
Okay. Let's also look at, permit me to go back to Osun State, but this time looking at INEC. You are also a presidential candidate, and in a few months' time, you will be on the polls. Have you said to yourself that you now currently have full confidence in INEC in ensuring that the elections will run smoothly?
No, of course. I have not seen anything INEC has done.
But Mr. President said INEC is impartial.
Who said that?
The President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria.
That's the reason why you should not trust INEC. If it's the president that is speaking for INEC, let me tell you something. We go to political party meetings when I was actively managing AAC as chairman, and we will spend 2 to 3 hours at these meetings. The APC chairman and secretary will never say a word, not even a closing prayer. They're so confident in they will just sit down there arrogantly. Sometimes they don't even complete the meetings or they walk out on us because they know that INEC is in their pocket. There's no question about it. If the president is saying that INEC is impartial, just know that he has INEC in his back pocket or his breast pocket. No doubt about it at all. So otherwise, what's the business of the president speaking on behalf of INEC? Is he the spokesperson of INEC? And that is the solution to INEC when we finally get it right, is to make sure that the president does not appoint an INEC chairman, because he's not going to ever appoint his enemy or somebody he cannot trust to watch his back or cover up for him as INEC chairman. Most of the National Electoral Commissioners of INEC, they are members of the APC. Most of the people appointed to head INEC at the state level, resident electoral commissioners, they are members of APC. So why would anybody trust that INEC can do? Whenever you have a free and fair election, historically in Nigeria, it is not because INEC wants to do free and fair elections. It's because the people decide that they want to have free and fair elections. And they will stand and, tell them, we'll give it whatever it takes. It's almost like war when people insist. And it's usually before, during, and after election. So if you trust INEC, well, I have a bridge to sell to you. INEC is INEC is one of the state branches of the APC.
Okay. As we wrap up the conversation, let's find your thoughts or get your thoughts on the PFIPC and how the investigation has been carried out so far. The reps, have done their investigation. We're counting down to them presenting to Mr. President. What are your thoughts?
Reps investigating anybody is to cover up for their former speaker, Femi Gbajabiamila. There's nothing that will come out of it. The House of Rep is investigating. The person who is central to the investigation is in detention. Police refuses to present him. He can't come out. They are now going to meet him in hiding. There are a lot of things I'm privy to about the FIPC investigation that I've spoken publicly about, that you can't get any justice out of there. The person that transferred, that helped Gbajabiamila to collect money from the prince, who is now in detention, has been killed. His hotel has been demolished. The hotel, which is the real crime scene. So if the crime scene is demolished, how do you get to the bottom of the crime? They're just fooling themselves.
Now, Mr. Sowore, as we wrap up conversation today, there's one other issue that is of national importance, and it's gotten lots of reactions, even across the political class. Personally, I think it's even bigger than the PFIPC scandal. That's how a cooperative college, the curious case of the Federal Cooperative College in Oji River, Enugu State, how a cooperative college got 1.08 trillion naira for 2,791 capital projects. To put this allocation in perspective, It's greater than the combined allocations of 6 key ministries: the Federal Ministry of Tourism, Arts, Communications, Solid Minerals, and Interior. What does this say about our budgeting process, and why are heads not rolling, and why is it not the #1 national conversation in the country?
See, my latest controversy is that I said I will make AI my Minister of Finance. And that's exactly the reason why I said so. Some of these very scandalous, eye-turning, head-rolling, or head-spinning scandals wouldn't have been possible if you use technology to do your budgeting process, to do the accounting process, to do the payment system. Blockchain technology would have detected that a college that submitted a budget of maybe 1 billion shouldn't have gotten 1 trillion. But you know what they do is, this is as a result of budget padding. They have padded the budgets. I'm sure this is not the only place. You've seen a situation where a road was inserted in the budget of a Hajj commission. I mean, I don't know why Nigeria is still surviving, considering how many of these criminal elements are just out there just scamming the country and stealing from wherever they can. And I must admit that, until this moment, I had not even heard about this latest scandal. I mean, I'm just admitting to you that I have not heard about this. This is how frequently these scandals happen that we can't even catch up.
All right.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Omoyele Sowore, for joining us this morning. We always appreciate your time.
We look forward to engaging you in the nearest future. Thank you.